Whether it was your own work or approval from someone who mattered to you, what first gave you the confidence that you belonged?
That's a very interesting question because there was no support, none. First time I went into an acting class, and which is almost simultaneously when I went for an audition for like an extra. And I went in for like one word, not even a line, like, hey. And he goes, what's wrong with your voice? I go, he goes, you have a speech impediment. I go, why don't you tell me something I don't know? I slur, that's the way it is. Because my mouth, the nerves were killed there at an accident at birth with forceps. So the crooked mouth, the slur, that somehow has to work, and it wasn't. So I was always being called out for slurring, or we can't hear you. I said, I'm doing it. It sounds great inside before I say it. It sounds like Shakespeare, but no, when it came out, and then when I started hearing myself on recordings. So the point was, I realized I had some problems. There was none, no encouragement on any level. You know, that's what I think separates a lot of performers or artists. It's just, they don't have a choice. You know what I mean? It's something's pulling you along. You don't belong to the world of reality. That's why I think so many actors, sorry guys, are incredibly immature, but that's good for our business. In other words, their personalities have not been locked in. They're very malleable. They're molding, and that's why they feel more comfortable quite often playing someone else, because they can bend into that as opposed to themselves, which they usually feel uncomfortable with. So that's where I was. Rocky was never intended. It was almost a byproduct of more important films. In other words, it was being basically made for the second screening at a drive-in movie. It was not meant to be for actual consumption. But going back before that, I realized that as an actor, just an actor, my days were numbered. You know, it's just because I was just such a type that there's no way that type would ever get to show what he can do. So that was one of the motivating factors, that taking this tough guy persona, because I was always cast as the bully, as this, as that, as mugging Jack Lemmon, getting beat up by David Carradine. And, you know, that seemed to be my fate. So I said, why don't I try to create a character that on the outside looks intimidating, but that's a shell, like a lobster. Inside, he's a good guy and quite tender. So that was the motivating factor. The fact that the screenplay came out, it was very odd. I never thought anyone would like it. They did like it, but they didn't like me. I just knew that, you know, the train is coming. There's one train coming. It's like Bad Day at Black Rock. There's one train coming, one train out. And if you're not on it, that train's never coming again. I just thought this is that crossroad moment. I think in all of our lives, we have about 4 of them. And this was a career crossroad moment, not the marriage crossroad moment or having a child. This is it. And I thought, you know, I've kind of mastered the art of being broke. I got it. Poverty sort of, agrees with me. I got it. But I knew this opportunity would never come again. So I just took a gamble. I just literally put everything on one roll of the dice. Then when it went down, it was always the ugly stepchild. I can't tell you how many times they just canceled it, dumped it. They wanted to get rid of me in a kind of a polite way. So they put every kind of restriction, like if I said a curse word, if I did this, if I was immoral, if I did anything, that they could replace me after the first week. But luckily the dailies came in. It was the first scene when we were doing it on the dock, when you realize that Rocky's the worst loan shark collector ever. He has a heart. And they went, oh, maybe something's happening there. But then it gets to Oscar time, and we know this is very political. This is very inside. There's a lot of things going on. The last person at that time, because also Rocky was considered very patriotic, and every other film there was nihilistic, you know what I mean? Every other one I was going against, President's Men, this and that, Bound for Glory, was kind of like dark. And I said, this is never going to happen. And then I remember Frank Sinatra was walking out of the screen. He goes, you got this in the bag, kid. Frank Sinatra, but he didn't even stop. He goes, yeah, you got this in the bag. As he's walking by, like, good enough. Anyway, we went to the first screening at the Directors Guild, and there was not a sound. There was not a clap. There was nothing. And I went, shit, this is it. And I was the last person leaving the theater. It was about 500 people. I said, we're done. I'm done. And as I was coming down the escalator, everyone was waiting at the bottom, and it gave this rousing cheer. It's almost bad choreography. It's like astounding. They didn't give any reaction. Then I knew something was happening. Something was like the Bob Dylan song, something's happening here, but you don't know quite what it is. And the rest is just America. I think the kind of tone in films switched a little bit. They started to go for optimism and have the happier ending instead of like Rocky dies. Because when I wrote it originally, it was not so nice. It was like more realistic. I was being influenced by Mean Streets and things like that. And so it was dark. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even a boxer. He was just a collector. That came after. I said, maybe I should have him still in the fight game because visually. And then when it won the award, I think it gave validation to so many people out there that you don't have to be 6'4", you don't have to be a graduate of Stanford or a graduate of Yale acting school, that talent or ambition or just blind faith, you never know. You never know. Does it happen a lot? No, but it does. And it happens in every facet of the world, in writing, in sports. I mean, you see things that you go, wow, that's a miracle. So yes, miracles do exist. I thought good news is we just went into science fiction. We just did something miracle. And when I said, this is for all the Rockies out there, it really cemented something with my career, because that's where I feel most comfortable is kind of playing that character that is not the best, the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, but he's the most determined. And that's what I'm really trying to bring out in people, is determination. So the bad news is, it's like I peaked with the first one. I go, how do you top this? I mean, you came out of nowhere. Literally, you were parking cars a year before, and now you're on stage in front of 1 billion people. You go, you do. We just went beyond the ionosphere. We're now like heading towards the black hole. I mean, how do you top that? And that was an issue, because you can't top it. Because, you can only be a star once. You know what I mean? That first impact, that thing when you make it, it's like a mind blowing. John Travolta, in Grease, and Pacino's like, boom. And that supernova never happens again. Yet we're all still trying to chase that, but it's never the same. It's the first time. So I have been in a dream state since 1976. And I still am. I look around and I go, I can't believe that I have this life. It's mind blowing.